Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Colleen and I'm pleased that you're here with me today. Times are tough everywhere. It seems like our world is going through some stuff, and I think that we all need to buckle down and do our part on the home front. Wherever you live, times are going to be tough for a bit here. So I was trying to think of ways that I could make meals that would be less expensive, not inexpensive, because everything is expensive today, but less expensive, and so that we could put meals on the table that would mean something to our families. So one of the things that I made years ago when we had kids at home, and it was something quick and easy that they could put together, was I made hamburger helper in a jar. It's a simple process. I would make them like 6 at a time, I think, or maybe it was more than that, and just put them in the cupboard. And when I was done, I put the empty jars in the cupboard, and when we had nothing but empty jars, we'd make another batch. So that's kind of how we kept up on it. I think we had about 1 or 2 a month, but it was also something the kids could make when we weren't at home, and it took such a little bit of preparation. So today I'm just going to make a couple of jars, and then I'm going to take you through the process of cooking it as well, so that you know what goes into it from the very beginning to the very end. And I will gather up the things I need to get started with this, and I'll be right back after this. Okay, I'm going to make just 2 jars today. If you had a little smaller jar than this, it would be better. There'd be less room in the jar, but it doesn't make a difference. I found that a pint jar is too small. You can't quite get everything in. Although I guess if you give it a good jiggle and a shake, you never know. You might be able to do that. I have lots of quart jars at the moment, and I find that I have more and more as time passes, because as our family gets smaller, we're using more pints than we are quarts. So I have lots of quart jars. So the first thing that I'm going to add to these jars is, to each one, I'm going to add 2 cups of pasta. Now, I think the 2 cups of pasta will feed about 4 people, depending on what you're serving it with. So you can go through these mixes pretty quickly. There's 1. 2. So one of these boxes, which is 500 grams in Canada, makes 2 jars of the hamburger helper mix. And hopefully that'll give you some idea. I'm going to add to this today some beef bouillon, and this beef bouillon is just in packs, and it's exactly what I need. I need 2 teaspoons, and this is what's in these little packs. It's a teaspoon each. So I am going to see if I can do this without a pair of scissors, without having to go for the scissors. In that one goes. These things, there's all kinds of mixes. If you're interested in more after you've tried this one out, then please let me know in the comments, and I will get some more. I do have some mixes on my very first videos that I made were about mixes and seasoning blends and so forth. But I can definitely put together some more jars for you if that's something you're interested in. Let me know in the comments below. We need some seasoning. We need 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder. And this is a 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm going to use 3 in each one, or I better make sure, yes. And there's something about onion powder. It just adds to a dish. We need the same amount. I'm just going to step aside and get some different garlic powder because I know there's not enough in there. My brother Jim has a friend who makes his own garlic powder. And so today I'm going to use his garlic powder in this. So I need 1.5. And there's that. You can see these go together pretty quickly, and then you've got them on the shelf for another day. If you're even making one today, or if you're just making a batch of them and putting them away. I need 2 tablespoons of paprika in each jar. And I'm not going to get too crazy here. It seems like a lot. But it definitely adds something to the jar. If you make it once and you find that's too much paprika, then definitely cut back on it. But we like it this way. I don't know what I did with the lid. Oh, there it is. It's stuck inside. Let's try that again. And I need about a teaspoon. It's going to be a scant teaspoon, but about a teaspoon of pepper. I'm just going to dump this one in here. I don't need the funnel for that. Now, because I've used the beef bullion, I am suspicious about how much salt it has. So instead of adding the 1 teaspoon that's in the recipe, I'm just going to add a 1/2 teaspoon for now, and then we can salt it heavier if we choose to later. But I just don't want it to be over salted because it's no good to us that way. Okay, we almost have everything in the jar. Now we need 1 tablespoon of cornstarch in each jar, and this just helps to thicken up the mixture when we cook it. I have taken a lid. These are used lids. I've just taken a lid and I've written the instructions on there so that anybody in the house can follow the instructions on the jar to be able to prepare this for themselves. So this is brown 1 pound of ground beef, add the contents of the jar, 2 cups of water, 1.5 cups of milk, 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. That's optional, you don't need to add that, but I like the flavor it adds. And I also add 1 tablespoon of ketchup. Cover this and let it cook for 11 minutes or until the pasta is soft. Now, this is cooked on a lower setting, and you need to check to see if the pasta is cooked. If it comes up 11 minutes and it's not cooked the way you want it to, then definitely let it cook a little longer. But if you're cooking it really vigorously, it's going to evaporate a lot of the liquid off of it before the pasta is cooked. So just keep in mind to keep the temperature down. Now once you've shut off the dish, you're going to add 1.5 cups of shredded cheese and give it a good mix and mix it in really well. And then you're ready to eat it. And I think you're going to find it delicious. So let me tidy up and remove this stuff from here, and we'll get out our skillet because this is a skillet meal. We'll get out our skillet and I will show you exactly how we go about this. Now also, if you find that I read through everything too quickly for you, you can always go to the description box below this video where it says more. If you click on more, it'll expand out and there will be the recipes that you need for this dish. I always try to give the recipe or put a link to the recipe if it's not my own recipe or one that I don't know how to give proper credit to. So you can find that in the description box below. I'll be back before you know it. Okay, let's get started. I've got 1 pound of ground beef, and this is lean ground beef, and today this is 1/2 pound, or sorry, this is 1 pound. The price per unit is $18.95 a kilogram, and it cost me $9.51 for a pound of ground beef, which has gone up considerably in the last little while. In the last month, it has really taken a rise. So Hence one of the reasons we need to be more frugal with our food budget. And there's lots of different ways we can do that. Yes, it means that probably many of us are going to have to change the way we eat, maybe eat out less. There is a lot of ways. So let's go over some of them over the next couple of weeks. And if you're interested, and I'll make some dishes and give you some helping hand on some things that could be more frugal for us moving forward. We're certainly not buying any kind of beef in the grocery store except for ground beef because it's very expensive, and I know our prices always seem so high to our friends in the United States, but the fact of the matter is that your dollar is very strong against our weak dollar. So once you take that $9.51, let me do it. As this is browning, I'll take my $9.51 CAD to US. That would make this pound of meat $6.63 in the United States. That's just giving me straight across the board, that's the difference in our Canadian dollar. Because I often have people comment on our high prices, but yeah, a lot of that is the difference in our dollar from where we live to where we live. This is coming along. You can do a lot with hamburger and change it up. One of the things you can't change about it is the fact that it is hamburger. And you can get pretty bored of hamburger if you're cooking it the same way all the time. If you're mixing it up in different ways, so we're making a hamburger helper today. You could make it into hamburgers and have hamburgers on buns. You could turn it into some sort of casserole. This is just a skillet meal. There's lots of hamburger casseroles. So let me know what you're interested in me doing, and I'll try and work out recipes to share with you that would come in there. What are the other ways? Oh, meatballs. You can make meatballs with pasta. That's a pretty cheap dish as well. And meatballs with spaghetti don't taste anything like this hamburger helper that we're making. This is just I guess it could be considered a cheeseburger hamburger helper because we're going to add cheese to it at the end. But it is definitely a hamburger helper. So, yeah. And I definitely think I could have used sunflower for this. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, I'm not positive about that. Now, this is still a little bit pink, but it has to cook for the next 11 or so minutes. So I am going to stop cooking it right there. No, I'm not going to stop cooking it. I'm going to let it cook. And I am going to add 2 cups of water. Now, I've used lean ground beef in here, and I didn't put any oil in the pan. That way I don't have so much oil to drain out. In fact, I'm not going to drain it. But if you're using a regular ground of meat, you want to definitely drain it and take some of that fat off before you carry on. So that's 2 cups of water, and that'll quiet it down so you can hear me better. And then I need 1.5 cups of milk. And I have made this recipe with all milk all water and just added powdered milk to it. It tastes just fine that way. So if powdered milk is what you've got, don't be afraid to use that. So we've got our liquid in. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of ketchup. and about a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce, or whatever you want to call it. About a teaspoon of that. And then in goes our mix. I'm going to give it a good stir. Got stuff in the jar, so let's get it all out. You want to make sure when you're filling your jars too that they're not freshly washed, and or if you freshly wash them, that you've left them out and allowed them to dry completely inside so that everything doesn't stick to the inside of the jar. Now, let's get this all stirred in well. I am going to get a spoon and taste this. Make sure that the salt is good in here, that we've seasoned it. Yes, in fact, it's perfect. Now, this is a little spicy, and that's coming from the paprika. So, if you're not a huge fan of spice, you want to cut that back by half. I think this is going to be fine for us, but keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to set that down there. I'm going to put a lid on my pan. I have my electric skillet set for 350 degrees, but as soon as this starts to bubble, I'm going to turn it down to at least 300. And I'm going to keep a really close eye on it. If it looks like the noodles are ready at the 8th minute, what do they do with the box? If they're ready at minute 8, then I'm going to stop it there. But if I think they require a longer time, then I will add it to it. Just because it says in the recipe 11 minutes doesn't mean that that's exactly what you need to do. It's a guide. So this Vecteezy macaroni says on the box to cook it for 6 minutes. So I will be checking it sooner rather than later and see if the box instructions aren't the better instructions to go by. It will really depend on your pasta and your sensibility. As I said, if it feels like it's cooked or tastes like it's cooked before the time in the recipe, then stop what you're doing. You're ready. Okay. I will let this come to a bubble, and then I will bring you back to have a look, and then when it's finished cooking, I'll show you what we do then. And it would want to stick to the bottom if you didn't give it a good stir. And what this does is help to take the starch off the outside of the pasta. Okay? Now, I've turned it down. Get the lid on. I've turned it down to 300, but it's still boiling pretty vigorously. So I'm going to turn it down to 250. So it's going to go in there somewhere. I want it to keep bubbling, but I don't want it to be vigorous like that. Also, if you're going to use an electric skillet, wow, that was terrible English. If you are going to choose to use an electric skillet, most of them are square, like this one right here. I'm just going to adjust the heat again until I get it where I want. But the element is round, so it's not cooking right out into the corners. So every now and then you just have to, every couple of minutes, just go in there and stir so that you're getting the outside mix to the in. If you're doing this on the stove top, in a frying pan, a regular frying pan, they're usually all round. And so there are no corners for the food to sneak away into. So it's easy for you to draw everything in and get it mixed around. So just a little added tip for those of you that may not have thought of that. I still feel like I'm boiling pretty vigorously here. So down we go. And when it's cooked, I'll be back. Okay, folks, this is ready. I hope you can see what it looks like. It looks pretty much exactly like what you would find in a package from the store. And we know everything that's in this. And we are now going to shut this off. And I'm going to add 1.5 cups of cheese, or I don't know, definitely a handful in another hand. That looks like about 1/2 cup. We're going to stir this in. I'm going to get rid of this plug. And just stir this in and let it melt with the residual heat from the pan and from the other ingredients. And then this is going to be ready to eat. So here we have an inexpensive meal that I think could serve 6 if you served it with a salad and a slice of bread or a bun. And that, in my books, is a pretty budget-friendly meal. So we did it all in one pan. It's budget-friendly. It's time-friendly. I'm not sure what more we could ask for. Now, I'm going to call the girls and we're going to share this lunch. And I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. Now remember, if you've enjoyed this and you'd like to see more mixes like this, let me know in the description box below. And I will read out my old cookbooks and have a look at ones I've made in the past. And I hope that you will continue to come back week after week. I appreciate you being here. I love to read your comments. I don't always get to answer everyone, but I do try to get the most of them. And share this with your friends. That would be fantastic. I appreciate you all more than you could possibly know. Take care, everybody. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.